Right, so welcome to the sixth lecture. Right, अभी तक आपको already you should be in possession of the book. Okay, you should start reading.
बुक बड़ी pirated site से देखी मैंने नहीं.
Yeah, don't do that. Right? So you can discuss that afterwards, but if after six lectures you still don't have access to the book, I can assure you you will not perform well in the course. We'll discuss that later.
कल complex number वाला पढ़ा वो नहीं मिला मुझे book में.
नहीं मिला. Right. So did you check the course outline?
Yes sir.
Where do I mention that?
1.2 and 1.4.
So maybe you are looking at a different book then. Right. Just check it. Yeah.
बाकी topics में
Yeah.
यूज़
Maybe a different edition, or it could be that in some, I remember in some outline I mentioned the background chapter, B1. So I think the basic complex numbers are in the background chapter. Right? So outline को अगर वो से देखें तो मुझे बता दें अगर फिर भी नहीं मिल रहा तो we can take a look. But definitely complex numbers would be there in the chapter they call it B. Latest version. Yeah. So and then the complex sinusoid is in chapter 1. Okay, my goal in reviewing the complex numbers was to bring you to the complex sinusoid. Right? In this course, we are actually supposed to be talking about the complex sinusoid and the complex exponential. That is some revision of basic complex numbers. और उसमें होनी चाहिए background chapter में. Right. So what did we talk about last time? We did a quick revision of complex numbers. क्या discuss किया था हमने?
इसकी forms क्या होते हैं? दो forms.
ठीक है. From line to a plane, right? What else? The forms, polar,
Coordinate systems.
Cartesian, right? What else?
Different identities sort of.
Interrelation between the coordinate system.
Right. We did that. How to convert one into another. And then we went on to कुछ और हमने किया था इसके हवाले से. Some definitions on the complex numbers, like the modulus, right? The angle, and then the conjugate. At some point we did, yes. And then we saw how we can play around with some complex numbers, yeah, or use those operations, the conjugate, the modulus, etc. And then we went on to do some calculations based on these. And the real topic for this course was actually this guy, the complex sinusoid. Right? So what do we know about it by now? क्या क्या पता हमें इसका? Is it periodic?
Yes.
Good. What else do we know? We know it's a complex number or a complex function. Yeah. What else do we know? What do we know about its real part, complex, imaginary part? क्या होते हैं? Sine, cosine, and sine. Right? And we saw that 3 dimensions may, if you want to look at it, how does it look? If you want to add time, which you have there. So it is a
Circular.
yeah, circular. तो ये है ना, उसको क्या कहते हैं shape? With time, if you draw it, it's coming out like this. Yeah. What's that shape?
Spiral.
Spiral or helix. Spiral usually goes छोटा होता है या बड़ा. Mostly it's a helix, right? So this is what you get in the complex. So that was a very quick revision, right? Now we saw that why was it that you were always on a circle? The radius was 1, right? यही था ना? So E j omega t as r. What is the general polar notation of a complex number? क्या निकाली थी हमने?
A plus J B.
That is Cartesian.
Cartesian.
What is the
R
polar?
E minus.
Yes. R E J theta. Now in here we have replaced theta with a time varying angle omega t. That's why you have this animation. It's time varying एंगल, अदरवाइज आप एक डेटा रखेंगे तो क्या आएगा, कोई एक वैल्यू आएगा, राइट? एंड व्हाट्स आर हियर नाउ? 1. That is why it's always, the dot is always on the unit circle, right? So because there is no r, so it's multiplied by 1. So you already know that the modulus, how far do you have to go from the origin to reach this point? 1 unit, yeah? So radius 1s. Now what happens when we allow this to be also some sort of, let's say, something that we can change, maybe with time, for example, here. So I'm going to make it more interesting and say, okay, the radius or the modulus is now, is it constant or time varying? Time varying, yes. The modulus or the r is now replaced by a time varying function, which is, let's say in this case, exponential. When you do that, you get the more general form of the complex sinusoid. Why do I call it general? Because you can always get the complex sinusoid from it. Why? What you need to do? Set sigma to 0, right? So that becomes a special case. So the complex sinusoid that you saw is a special case of this function, which is the complex exponential, and we'll be using both of these in various transforms. Yeah. So now what's happening? We normally write it as EST, and we say S is a complex number. Yes, and it has 2 bits of information. 1 bit of information is in the real part, and that is sigma, which represents whether the amplitude is increasing or decreasing, the modulus is increasing or decreasing with time. The second part, the imaginary part, is omega, which gives the frequency, how fast this is going to happen. Okay, so now you have 2 bits of information in the S, yeah? And when you write it like that, this is what happens. Now you can sigma is real, okay? You cannot put sigma as imaginary, फिर both ही complicated function number. Okay, so sigma and omega, like when we write a complex number z equals a plus jb, we always assume that a and b are real. वहाँ भी अगर आप complex रख देंगे तो ये और complicate हो जाए. So usually this is up to where we need to go. So sigma and omega are real numbers, but together they form, अब वो a plus jb की बजाय sigma plus j omega हो गया. So a is sigma, b is omega, if you like. Yeah. So then you have e sigma t times e j omega t. Since sigma is a real number, what is this function e sigma t? Okay, it's written here exponential decay or growth. Yes. When is it a decay?
Negative over
Sigma is negative. It's a growth when sigma is positive, and when sigma is 0, constant radius. Yes. Function is not constant. Both those unit circle पे घूम रहा है. Yeah. Now, can any of you plot this EST in 3 dimension? Like we have the helix था ना पहले हमारे पास. Yeah. What happens if sigma is a negative number? Can you plot the complex sinusoid?
तो helix छोटा होता जाएगा.
ठीक है? समझ आ रही?
मैं सोचा नहीं इतना.
Just think about it. बात तो आपको समझ आएगी. So the question was,
And sigma is negative.
you know that what e j omega t looks like without any e sigma. Yes, it was a helix of fixed radius. Right? Now what happens if you multiply e j omega t with e sigma t, which is happening here, and sigma is a negative number? Then you are talking about, let's say e sigma is a negative number, maybe you're talking about e minus 4t. Yes? So with time, what is happening to this function? It's an exponential decay. So the radius, wasn't it the radius? So the radius is showing an exponential decay. Now before this radius was constant, so you had something going like this, fixed radius. Now the radius is showing in exponential decay, so it's going spiraling down. Yes. What if sigma is positive? Then it's exponentially growing. Then it is spiral. जो traditional spiral draws. Zero का तो fix वापस आ गया. So yes, when sigma is less than 0, there is this exponential decay of the radius. Yeah. So it's good to have graphical or visual understanding of these functions. Right. And for sigma greater than 0, it will be growing. Yeah. Just imagine you're looking at it like this. So, okay. So we just discussed the complex exponential, and in that there is this complex sinusoid. We want to see if there is periodic, in which period, fundamental period is 2 pi by omega naught. You can use a previous result you have developed. So, what was the fundamental period of cos omega t? हमने किया था 2 pi by omega, right? So you can use that result here. कैसे यूज करेंगे?
सिग्नल भी उस तरह का बनेगा.
ट्राई करें जरा, देखें इसको. Use Euler's identity. Just a quick hint, you will use Euler's identity a lot. Okay, so use Kalen, expand it or write it in its two parts using Euler's identity. चीजें पकड़ें पेपर पेंसिल. जब आप खुद करते हैं ना फिर क्लैरिटी आती है. मैसी को गोल करते देखना ज़्यादा doesn't really make you a good baller, right? Okay, so किधर है?
नोट्स लिखे मेरे हाथ में रहते हैं.
ये तो मेरे हाथ से कर लेता हूँ. जब भी मारता है वो दूसरी रहती है.
बर्गर भी नहीं.
वो पहले कॉन्कर कर चुका है कुछ. हिंट तो मैंने आपको सारे दे दिए, बस आपने वो कंबाइन करना है. और तरह से भी हो सकता है, मैंने आपको शॉर्टेस्ट वे बता दिया. You already know that cosine omega t has a period of 2 pi by omega. वो हमने किया था, right? So you can use that result with Euler's identity to show that the fundamental period of this function is 2 pi by omega naught. Yeah? वो पहले इसको लिखें, Euler's identity से लिखें. E j omega naught t, what will it be? Cosine omega naught t plus j sine omega naught t, right? यही बनेगा. Yes.
Okay. Now, is the real part periodic?
Yes.
What is the period?
2 pi.
Omega naught. Yeah. Is the imaginary part periodic?
Yes.
Yes. What's the period? 2 pi by omega naught. Period का वर्ग होता है. हमने पहले निकाला था ना, like we did it.
पिछली क्लास में सुना था.
Xt not in that one. उससे पहले किया था कि
T plus T.
in general you want this for all t. So if there exists a capital T for which xt is xt plus t for all t. So we did that for sinusoids. We said okay, if you have cosine t and you want to find what is it that will give you cosine omega t, and we want to see what would give you cosine omega t plus t to be which t would satisfy this, and we had concluded that this had to be 2 pi by omega. Why? Because if you
क्योंकि
put
सर
it
वो
there,
अगले साइकिल में वो उतना ही हो जाता है.
हाँ ये देखें cosine omega t plus omega cancels, you're left with 2 pi, and we know that cosine theta is always equal to cosine theta plus 2 pi, right? So इससे हमने show किया था ये result. Now you can have it as a rule of thumb maybe, or just memorize, or if you forget just go back to this. But overall, cosine omega t has a period of 2 pi by omega. Yes? So now we do the same thing here. We can rewrite it as cosine omega naught t plus j sine omega naught t. The real and imaginary parts, to each of them you can apply this. Then each of them has a period of 2 pi by omega naught. The real part भी इस period से repeat कर रहा है, complex part भी उसी period से repeat. So the total function will have that period, right? So you can show it is more. This uses the direct approach, where it is similar to this approach. Yes. Let's look at this one. The hint I gave you was based on first proving one thing and then using Euler identity. But you can go directly for the first definition also. Okay, so it's good to look at that. How did that happen? We know that a function is periodic if it satisfies this thing for all small t. Yes. Now, for it to be the two left hand side and right hand side to be equal, what do you need? E j omega naught capital T to be? Has to be 1. Right? Why are we saying that? Because we want these two, we want Ej, this thing, to become Ej omega naught T, meaning this part. So then this part is extra. Yes? It has to become 1. Now, when does it become 1? In two situations. If omega naught is 0, that is a trivial case, that is always satisfied and doesn't really hold any meaning, because then it is simply a constant there. Yes? But if omega naught is not 0, then we need omega naught t to be m2 pi. Yes, why is that? Again, you can see, आपको याद है हमने, we did this thing. Let's see. Ej 2 pi n equals 1 for an integer. Yes. So we are using this result now. So what we want to see over here, you have these slides, try it at home also, you will find it. It's a very nice derivation. We want the power there, Ej omega naught capital T, this one. Yes, we want it to look like Ej 2 pi m. वो जो होता है ना, हमने क्या निकाला, Ej 2 pi n equals 1 for n integer. Yeah, so you could also use n here, it's fine. Just a dummy variable. Here they are using m, fine. But we want it to be that thing. Yeah. But if you want it to be that thing, then just calculate from here, and you get it m2 pi by omega naught. That is all the integer values of m will give you a period. And as I said, the fundamental period is the minimum repeating value, right? So just put m equals 1 and you get 2 pi by omega naught. Now a simpler way is to do like this. First prove that cosine and sine have a period of 2 pi by omega, then use Euler's identity. Both are perfectly fine. Yeah, it's good to have this one in mind also, because this starts from the very basic definition. Yes, so you will come across this kind of problems later also. Let's go through it again. इसको दोबारा देख लें अभी कोई इसमें I know fully शायद
comprehend नहीं होता इतनी जल्दी. The key is to start here. What you want to prove, that these two have to be equal for all t and equal or small t. Now you expand the left hand side and it looks like this, and you realize it's equal to the right hand side as long as this product here, this factor here is 1. Then you remember, okay, I recall that ej2 pi n, where n was an integer, was always equal to 1. So that is what I want. Now if I want it to be ej2 pi n, then I really want omega naught t to be 2 pi n, or as m used here, then you have the answer, right? So you have to go in steps to see that. But after that, just you will use the result as saying, okay, it's 2 pi by omega naught, and we know it is periodic. Okay, so one this is the final topic in signal basics, right? After this we will solve some problems. Okay, so this is also, I should put it in the classification, but somehow it is over here anyway. You can classify signals also as even and odd. Okay, what do we mean by that is this: even is when the xt equals x minus t. What does that mean? If you flip it, it's still the same. Yeah, flip it around the origin, it is still the same. इसको आप flip करें ऐसे, same, you get the same. So what is saying? Symmetric about the vertical axis, right? If that is the case, then you call it even. Odd function is x naught t equals minus x naught minus t. Yeah, if you take away the minus here, then the definition is for the even function. So odd function is anti-symmetric about the vertical axis. What does that mean? You first flip it like this, and then you flip it on the vertical axis. Yeah, so इसमें double flipping involved हो जाती है. So the word for that we use is anti-symmetric. Okay. Now the concept of even and odd functions sometimes comes in handy when we are trying to design special kinds of signals. Okay. So here I am just giving an idea. You can prove some of these. We can look at it later today. Even function times odd function is odd. Odd function times odd function is even. We'll prove one or two of them. I don't think there's anything to memorize here. You can check. So let's start with that then. Paper pencil hai. Let's say there is xt is a function which is a product of two functions, right? And we know that the two functions are both even. Yeah? Then what is xt? Is it even, odd, or neither? By the way, functions don't have to be even or odd. Neither भी होते हैं. जरूरी नहीं कि वो symmetric हो या anti-symmetric हो, कुछ भी कोई और भी shape हो सकती है, right?
इसके अलावा कौन सी shapes हैं?
इसके अलावा कौन सी shape है? Basically, any shape that does not satisfy either symmetry or anti-symmetry. Like, let's say एक unit step बनाया, इस तरह का थोड़ा unit step को pulse बनाए, right? So the pulse may not satisfy this or this, right? Exponential decay and कोई भी shape और बना लें which is neither symmetric like this, neither symmetric along the vertical axis. बहुत सी निकल आएंगी. So now you have to show whether the xt is even, odd, or neither. करें कैसे करेंगे? वो तो मैंने statement लिखी हुई थी ना, prove तो नहीं किया हमने. आप ये देख रहे हैं क्या ना? Even times even is even. So answer तो आपको पता चल गया. But that's we want to prove it, right? ये तो सिर्फ लिखा हुआ. So करें paper कैसे prove करें? What's the definition of an even function mathematically? A function x of et is the same as its flipped version. Yes?
Yes.
However, if it is the same as its flipped version but also flipped in magnitude, then it is odd. ठीक है, ये condition है. Use these conditions to show that xt is even. Prove करना आपने. कैसे पेपर में try करें, कैसे start करें?
this, then this. ठीक हो गया, देख लिया. x1t is equal to x1 minus t. अब हम क्या करेंगे? xt equal to x1t.
So how would you start? What do you have to prove?
कि ये even
अभी तो है, आपको याद हो गया, लेकिन वैसे you wouldn't know is it xt even or odd. So you just pick one thing. Let's say you start with the conjecture that xt is even. Then what is it that you have to prove about xt mathematically?
x naught is xt is equal to x naught minus t.
Not that तो हम even odd के लिए डालें. Yeah, xt equals x minus t. So you have the left hand side and the right hand side, right? Now start working with that to see if you can get the two to be equal. What is the information available to you?
सर कि ये दोनों even है.
और
Right side,
mathematically?
right hand side
Yes,
पे दोनों even.
mathematically क्या होगा?
फिर इन दोनों की प्रोडक्ट ले लेंगे इन दोनों की.
x1t is even. So what does that mean mathematically about x1t?
x1 minus t.
Yes. So x1t equals x1
minus
minus
t.
t. Similarly, x2t equals x2
minus t.
minus t. You have that information available. Use that to make the left hand side equal to right hand side. If it comes, then it is even. If the two sides are not equal, you cannot conclude that it is odd. Then you have to do the test for odd. Okay? अगर वो पास हो जाए ठीक है, दोनों फेल हो जाए it's neither.
तो मुझे लॉजिक समझ आ गया.
लॉजिक समझ आ गई?
समझ आ गया. सर बेसिकली आप कहते हो कि इवन में एक्स टी होता है एक्स माइनस टी के बराबर. बीइंग मतलब ये कि आप अगर टी की जगह माइनस टी रख दो ना तो एक ही बात है. तो आप हमें पता है कि एक्स टी x1 टी टाइम्स x2 टी के बराबर है, और हमें ये पता है कि x1 टी x2 दोनों इवन है, जिसका मतलब है इन दोनों के माइनस टी भी बराबर हो. तो अगर x बेसिकली इसी फंक्शन में आप बेसिकली एक्स टी की जगह उस टी की जगह माइनस टी डाल दो तो आपने उन दो जगहों पे माइनस टी डालना पड़ेगा, जो वही चीज़ बन जाती है.
Exactly. So you can just write it out mathematically, and this is what you get. So they start by saying, okay, let's write out x minus t. कई तरीके हो सकते हैं. So this is of course the most succinct way. Books में final लिखा होता है. ज़रूरी नहीं कि आप उसी से शुरू करेंगे. So x minus t is x1 minus t, x2 minus. But we have been told they are both even. So you can replace them by x1t times x2t, which should be xt. So you've written xt equals x minus t. So you have shown that it is even. If x1t and x2t are both odd, right? Then what do you get?
Even.
Then you get, interestingly, even r. Yes. So you get x minus t equals xt. What if one is even and the other is odd? क्या निकला final
फिर चेंज
result?
होगा सर. फिर वो पूरे पे आएगा मतलब ऑड है फिर.
Odd.
माय पूरे होल पे x माइनस r.
इवन हो जाएगा.
So what are they showing? They're showing x minus t equals minus xt. Now sometimes students confuse that is not the same as this, is it? Odd की जो condition है जो उन्होंने show किया x minus t equals minus xt. Is it the same as this condition or not?
Neither नहीं होगा सर.
यही मैं बता रहा हूँ. This is exactly the same as the condition for odd. ये देखिए, odd की condition क्या है? ये can I send the minus here? Multiply both sides by minus 1. हो गया? क्या बनेगा? Minus x naught t equals x naught minus t. That's what they showed. ठीक है, the odd की conditions आप और तरह से भी लिख सकते हैं. You can play with this condition. कोई मसला नहीं है.
एक्सप्लेनेशन पड़ेगी तो मैं समझ आ गया.
समझ आ गई? So basically for your convenience, depending on the problem, you can redefine the formulation as long as क्या होता है? You follow the rules of algebra. Right? ये नहीं कि सिर्फ एक साइड को माइनस करके दूसरी को सीधा छोड़ दिया. Then you have violated the equation. Equation is the same way, so whatever form you get is equivalent. Right? So this is what happens. Now this is where often the even and odd functions come in handy. ये आपने किया होगा integration में भी ना symmetric functions का. Notice that for even and odd functions, firstly for odd functions, if the limits are symmetric, the area under that becomes 0. It will be powerful होती है, बहुत काम आते हैं. Yeah. So remember I said why do we classify? Because then we can develop tools and use those tools for those classes. Now odd के लिए बड़ा अच्छा tool है. If you have symmetric limits, which you will often have, and the function is odd, there is nothing to calculate. The area is 0, and I will trick you with that in the exam. तो आएगा stage, उसमें वो step होगा, आप लोग ये पहले निकालते रहेंगे, एक दूसरे से पूछने की कोशिश करते रहेंगे, इसकी फॉर्मूला निकालते रहेंगे का. लेकिन अगर आप थोड़ा सा उसको गौर से देखेंगे और फंक्शन ऑड होगा, लिमिट्स सिमेट्रिक होंगी, तो आप कुछ भी नहीं करेंगे. Just put a 0 there. Yes. So, what about even function? There you still have to integrate, but at least it can be simplified. So integrate over right half and multiply by 2. Symmetric. So these are some uses of the, but there are other uses also. Now, often we want to write a signal as the sum of even and odd parts. ये भी integration में help करता है. So interestingly, you can always write any signal. Yeah. Doesn't have to be even, doesn't have to be odd. Any signal as a sum of even and odd. Okay, there it is. So you have tried to prove that the first term here is even. 1 by 2 try to prove that the first term xt plus x minus t, let's call that yt. Yeah? That is the sum of xt with x minus t. Let's call that yt. Show that yt is even. That's it. Yes. एक claim है ना यहाँ पे. Claim ये क्या है ना? वो term even है. Let's call that term yt. And prove that yt is even. ताकि वो clear हो जाए. कर लिया. फौरन हो जाएगा ना? Remember, we have not given any property of xt. हम कोई claim नहीं कर रहे कि xt is even or odd. But still you can prove that xt plus x minus t will always be even. Right? ये वो चीजें जो फौरन करने से जल्दी हो जाती है, सोचने से देर लगता है. हो गया? So, of course, if you do xt plus x minus t and for even you need this condition, so you replace the minus t with minus t. पहली term x minus t हो जाएगी और दूसरी term x t हो जाएगी. Sum is still the same, right? कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ा. So it is even. होगी ना? The second term you can similarly prove that it is odd. Okay? So
दूसरी टर्म में मैं कंफ्यूज हूँ, क्योंकि इसको अगर आप सिंप्लीफाई करो तो आपके पास सिंपली x ऑफ t आता है, तो आप कैसे बताओ इवन है ऑड है?
किसकी बात कर रहे हैं?
ये जो दूसरी टर्म है ऑड आपने जिसको लिखा है, इसको अगर हम सिंप्लीफाई करें तो हम इसको एज x ऑफ t भी लिख सकते हैं, तो आप कैसे पता इवन ऑड है?
ये x और t कैसे?
सर अगर वो माइनस एक्स माइनस टी को मैं ये दूसरी इक्वेशन लेकर एक्स टी बना दूँ तो वो ऐड हो जाएंगे और 2xt हो जाएगा, 2 by 2 1 हो जाएगा.
क्यों बना दें? हमने तो नहीं कहा कि even है odd है.
क्लेम कर रहे हैं ना वो.
Overall function odd है.
कर सकते हैं.
No, the overall function is odd, right? The term sum है. But you still don't know about xt or x minus t. इसका तो कोई claim है ही नहीं. It could be neither, right? आप जो कर रहे हैं most likely you're taking minus x minus t, putting it equal to xt. Why? किसने कहा है? Is xt even? Is xt odd? कुछ भी नहीं, आपको पता ही नहीं. right? So of course you can prove it by doing this. Let's say for this second term we do x minus t. Let's start with that. What would x minus t, or let's call the second term yt now. So what is y minus t in there? It will be x minus t minus x t. Right? Yeah. And then basically you can see that this thing is x t minus x minus t, yeah, which is over there. So if you want to negate it, ये किया हमने is that what we did, right?
सर एक
Get rid of this
मिनट
marker.
सर जो एक्स टी के साथ माइनस लगा हुआ है पीछे वो आपने दूसरी तरफ क्यों ले गए आप?
बताते हैं. Let's see. Now what is this? That's where we started, right? Second term, is it yt or not? And now I'm saying that y, I'll bring the minus here now, minus y minus t equals yt. That is the definition of odd. करके तो देखें इसी में है, थोड़ा सा खुद से ट्राई करें तो समझ आ गई. गाली एक दफा लिख के भेज दें. Call this thing to bracket में है, इसको yt कहें, ठीक है? Then what is it you have to prove for the yt to be odd? If you say yt is, I'm going to define it as xt minus x minus t, then for it to be odd, you would need yt equals minus y minus t. ये चाहिए होगा ना? Then let's put the right hand side. I did it this way, but you could do it another way. Right? But notice I got that. वही आ रहा है. ये minus y minus t equals yt. So
सही आपने इनिशियली y माइनस टी कैसे लिया था?
आई थिंक मैं समझ आ
oh,
रहा
अच्छा,
हूँ.
y minus t कैसे लिखा?
हाँ.
Let's start. This is yt.
सही है.
Can you take y minus t from here? इसको छोड़ दें.
लेकिन उसके लिए हमें assume करना होगा ये इवन है.
नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं.
आई थिंक मैं समझ आ रहा हूँ. थोड़ा सा अजीब
From here, simple functions है, parameter change कर सकते हैं, ठीक है? T को minus t से replace कर दें, बस, no problem. So this becomes
सही बाकी
this becomes x minus t minus x minus minus t which is plus t. वो ये आ गया, right? Now play with that a little bit because we want to get that form. But the easiest way is left hand side or right hand side में से. Basically, you could also start with this. Just write the right hand side as this, and then shuffle it to see that it is actually yt.
सही है.
try करें ना, उससे करें एक बार. So the claim is that the second term is odd. So call that yt. Half को निकालने में कोई फर्क नहीं डालेगा, even odd. We call it yt. The claim is that it is odd. If it is odd, then yt must be equal to minus y or minus t by definition of being odd. और उसको आपने prove करना है. So आप right hand side से शुरू करें. Try to bring the right hand side into left hand side form. yt आ जाएगा. नहीं आता तो फिर ये claim गलत है. Okay, let's see. So find and sketch the even and odd components of xt e minus at ut. So this is just an exercise to actually write a function as an even and odd function, and this, notice the original function is there. Is it even, odd, or neither? आप पूछ रहे थे ना neither, because left side 0 है उसका. So But notice if you write it like this, then the first term is even, the second term is odd, which is this one. First one देखिए even है या नहीं? है?
B part?
Middle वाला.
Middle is even.
This is even, this is odd. Now sum them, you will get this. एक लेना, you can write any function as a sum of even and odd functions. और usually हम क्यों करते हैं ये trick? For the integral thing. हाँ, फिर integral easy हो जाता है. You think we can't use it. So, and there are other uses, but this is one of them. So, आपके लिए assignment जल्दी से. Find the even and odd components of E, J, T. क्या था formulation में आपको दिखा देता हूँ even and odd की. Basically, I'm saying use this, right? So now xt, our xt is E, J, T, and I want you to rewrite xt as a even plus odd function. Formula सामने लिखा हो, फाइंड आउट, yeah? So E, J, T. What is the even part, or let's say, even part in this decomposition of xt? To be or not to be? You can do E or not to be. And this remains distance. Even part, what is it? Including value? क्या ठीक है, इसको मज़ीद सिंप्लीफाई कर सकते हैं आप?
सर ये देखिए
half EJT plus E minus JT and half EJT. Right, आप इसको मज़ीद सिंप्लीफाई फॉर्म में ला सकते हैं. Like start से half EJT वो तो ये सिंप्लीफाई करके हाफ EJT हो गया कुछ और. आप कह रहे हैं कि EJT is equal to half EJT plus half EJT. वो तो किसी भी फंक्शन है, ठीक है, इवन और तो ना होना. तो कहते हैं mathematician if you ask a mathematician what's the length of a rope, तो क्या जवाब होता है? Twice half of its size. ठीक है, अलजेब्रा में जवाब दे दिया कि आपने तो नहीं बताया कि कौन सी रोप है, length of R rope. तो आप भी so क्या बना?
सिंप्लीफाई करके सर EJT आ गया.
नहीं, हर टर्म को अलग से सिंप्लीफाई करना, रियल इवन पार्ट को अलग से सिंप्लीफाई करना. हाँ वो तो बाकी आएगा, वो आएगा, ये गलत हो गया. no, simplify the even part, you will be surprised what you get. even part को सिंप्लीफाई आता है. ऑयलर आइडेंटिटी से आपकी दोस्ती नहीं है, भूल जाते हैं बात यूज कर लेना उसको
बनानी पड़ेगी।
हाँ तो ऑर्डर एंटी यूज करना फिर देखें सिर्फ इवन पार्ट को सिंपलीफाई करेंगे और को छोड़ दें साइड पर आपके पास एक ये टर्म है EJT हाँ ये वाली इसको ऑर्डर लगा सकते हैं इस पे लगा सकते हैं दोनों पे लगा के जमा करके देखिए क्या आता है Right, so try practice चाहिए होती है आगे क्या उसको सोच क्या है E J थीटा क्या होता है cos थीटा प्लस J sin थीटा
इसको थीटा मान लो
टी है ना?
थीटा टी है
टी है।
हाँ
तो साइन टी होगा, साइन टी प्लस जे कॉस टी
हाँ,
होगा,
और
वही किया।
उसी के अंदर जो दूसरी टर्म है इवन के अंदर ही जो दूसरी टर्म वो क्या होगी मैं चाहता हूँ जवाब देने से पहले आपने से कोई एक तो निकाल तो ये क्या होगा ना
ये तो सारा कट रहा है मेरे से।
कैसे
शायद कट ही जाएगा। जीरो के बराबर हो जाएगा।
जीरो वही कह रहा हूँ, कट जाता है सारा।
कोई कौन तो कोई है ही नहीं।
ये तो ऐसे आगे है जिससे वैसे ही लोग याद
तो इसमें भी ट्रिग्नोमेट्रिक आइडेंटिटी लगती है
ये ऐसा आपने क्या लिखा है EJT क्या है
cos
t
t
plus j
साइन
हाँ cos t plus j sin
साइन टी।
हाँ
right then what is E minus JT
cos minus t plus j sin
नहीं, माइनस cos टी नहीं होगा।
so it is पहला क्या है cos
1 upon cos t plus
t plus j sin t ये हो गया plus E minus JT yeah. So it's up to you. You could do as you are thinking. There is cos. You want to use minus t prime plus j sin. ठीक है. Now cos t. What is cos of minus t? Sin theta minus theta cos cos theta. Right? Okay.
तो 2 cos t
2 cos theta. What is sin of minus t? Minus sin. So ये term cancel हो जाएगी. You have 2 cos t, but you have a half there, so it will take cancel out the 2. So you have to
ओनली cos टी।
Cos.
वो लग रही है ना क्या?
थोड़ी सी हाँ वो तो
वो आती नहीं है, ज़हन से
याद नहीं थी।
ज़हन से निकल गई। मैं तो सीधा काट रहा।
ठीक है पर ये तो बहुत बेसिक है ना कोसाइन माइनस थीटा इक्वल आप पढ़ते हैं कोसाइन जो है वो इवन फंक्शन है साइन ऑड फंक्शन ऑलरेडी आप पढ़ते हैं वो ही हो रहा है राइट सो राइट एनी क्वेश्चंस इन दिस
सोच रहे रोमन
आप इस तरह सोचते हैं सारे
इससे खराब है।
इनको फिर भी थोड़ी समझ आ रही है राइट सो थोड़ी सी कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स की प्रैक्टिस कर लेते हैं लेट्स सी इफ आई कैन फिट द बोर्ड इवन मोर
साढ़े 8 को फिर 10:30 हाँ कंपटीशन चल रहा चलो
Right, so I'm going to write a couple of problems and you can try to solve them. Let's see, I have this.
सर एग्जाम्स में हमें आइडेंटिटीज सब कुछ मिलेगा.
आपको साइन माइनस थीटा तो नहीं मिलेगा, यहाँ पढ़ते हैं काफी सारी चीजें मिल जाएंगी.
सर
चीजें तो बहुत बेसिक है ना.
सर जिस भी चीज़ की रटा लगाने की जरूरत है वो दे देगा, रटा नहीं लगा.
डाटा की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ती है, बस
सही है.
हाँ फिर 4 में 3 लेक्चर्स पे आना पड़ेगा अगर हमने सारे छोटे कर लेक्चर्स हैं. अच्छा लेट मी सी.
यार तुम्हारे खातून से
इसको चेंज कराएं यार. So let's start with something basic.
जल्दी से आपने करना है तो इसमें कॉम्प्लिकेटेड नहीं है. -3 into 3 and this is 2 and this is 1. Let's say this is xt. Okay, so I want you to plot x minus t, x t plus 3, and yeah, do these two first. Jल्दी से आप plot करें. Okay, so how was it? X minus t में क्या flip हो, right? What about x t plus 3?
आगे जाएगा, तीन
पीछे जाएगा वो.
नहीं, प्लस
Plus 3 is right shift.
राइट शिफ्ट होगा ना.
लेफ्ट शिफ्ट.
इधर जाएगा
इधर जाएगा, ऐसे जाएगा.
लेफ्ट जाएगा.
Left जाएगा. Go to the left. Right? Remember I said negative, if there is a negative here, that's a delay. Nobody likes delays. यहाँ पे check कर लें.
उल्टा दो.
T equal to 0. If you put t equal to 0, you will realize that whatever was happening at 0 is now going to happen at 3. Delay. Yes? So,
सर बना के दिखा कंफ्यूजन हो
hang on. Right जाएगा. ये तो right जाएगा.
एक आसान तरीका बता देंगे.
So, this will go to the right because this is plus minus negative is delay. So,
मेरा ये आंसर नहीं बना है.
वैसे होगा.
यार आपने मुझे भी कंफ्यूज कर दिया.
सर कह रहा है
सर राइट जाएगा सर मैं
Hang on.
100%
लेफ्ट का है.
राइट जाएगा.
लेफ्ट ही जाएगा.
ये लेफ्ट जाएगा.
करते करते थोड़ी कंफ्यूज हो गई.
ये लेफ्ट जाएगा.
सर डिले हो
सर
रहा
आसान
अच्छा आए कैसे?
सर आसान नहीं हुआ.
वैल्यूज डाल के देखें तो
आसान तरीका है जानने का. तो इसमें भी 3 पर 2 है. अगर प्लस 3 कर दें ना तो ये 0 पर 2 आ जाएगा. तो ये लेफ्ट चला जाएगा.
लेफ्ट ही जाना
equals
है.
0 ये
E का सामने
ऐसा
करना।
सब जरा हमारा तार negative left है.
जो यहाँ 0 पे होता है minus 3
Right. So it will advance. पहले ये चीज तय करना, ठीक है. और एडवांस जो है टाइम में, टाइम इधर से इधर जा रहा है ना टाइम. यस, सो एडवांस हो गई. माइनस जो है वो डिले होता है, राइट. सो इफ यू फॉरगेट, नो प्रॉब्लम्स, जस्ट पुट अ फ्यू वैल्यूज हियर, राइट. टी को 0 रखें, लेट्स सी व्हाट कम्स. टी को 3 रखें या -3 रखें, यू विल सी व्हाट्स गोइंग ऑन, ठीक है. सो दिस विल definitely go to the left. Okay, so show whether this function e minus t, is it even, odd or neither?
ये वाला E से कौन सा? Very nice.
E minus absolute t.
Even.
Even है?
Yes.
चेक कर लिया आपने?
हाँ, even है।
है?
Even
Even है ना?
नहीं
कर लेना, मैथमेटिकली
Safe
निकल
option है.
वो सेफ नहीं है, वही गलत हो सकता है।
इवन ही है, जब मॉड हटा दो प्लस माइनस पावर ऑफ
कैसे स्टार्ट कैसे? आई एम मोर इंटरेस्टेड इन द मेथड,
So
राइट.
you Euler's
कॉम्प्लेक्स में आ रहा है.
So वहाँ जो complex
टी की जगह नेगेटिव टी रखेंगे वो वैसे हो जाएगा।
For even you would have to show this, right?
वो ये नहीं
For even you would have to show this, right? So the best way is to always start with this guy. So let's see, x minus t. What is x minus t for that guy? It's e of minus minus t, which is e of minus t, which is x t. So even का test pass हो गया. आगे शाम में साले भी ना बोले. Right.
इसलिए कैसे पास हो गए?
Okay, let's start with the assumption that it's even. Let's say, right, even का test करा. So I just took the right hand side. Yeah, I wrote it as x minus t. That becomes e minus absolute minus t. Why? Because x t is e minus absolute t. So replace t by minus t inside. Absolute turns it to positive. ये आ गया. But this was always x t. हाँ नहीं.
अच्छा पहले 6
शुरू में से हुआ. So it is
even.
even. Okay, good. Finally, we have some
mutual agreement.
mutual agreement हो गया है. Okay, so let x t equal u of t. Is it even, odd, or neither?
Neither. शेप ही पता चल जाता है neither.
Right, you could argue from there that the shape is neither symmetric nor antisymmetric, or you could show it mathematically. It's fine. Good. So you know that it is neither. Yeah. What about this function? X of t equals minus 4t. करके देखें जल्दी से.
Minus minus. करके देख लेते हैं. समझ. Minus minus 4 minus t.
Honest version.
हो गया?
Odd.
Odd है. So you could start again. For the odd one, we say x t equals minus x minus t, or we can also say this, right? So let's start with x of minus t. X of minus t is minus 4 times minus t, which is 4t. And is it equal to minus x of t? Yes, it is. Yes, because x of t is minus 4. Yeah. So yeah, it's fine. It is on. Okay. Solve this integral. जी क्या आंसर है? ट्राई कर कैसे करेंगे स्टार्ट नहीं तो क्या नहीं मारना सारे लिख के आगे फिर चूज इवन और नहीं लास्ट की डेल्टा जी से मल्टीप्लाई होगा तो इसे सिर्फ एक इम्पल्स रह जाती है राइट
सर
कैसे अभी आप क्या कह रहे हैं?
सर बेसिकली जब डेल्टा सॉरी जब वो डेल्टा आ जाता है ना तो वो जीरो पर आपको बेसिकली वही वैल्यू देगा जिससे वो मल्टीप्लाई हो रहा है
So f t times delta t minus t was what?
तो वन होता है उसी पर ही बदलता है
Or when we saw that if you integrate minus infinity to infinity both sides, you will get f at t. Only thing you need to identify is capital T. क्या है इसमें capital T? जैसे शुरू करेंगे delta t minus zero है t zero है capital T zero है cos इसका जवाब क्या होगा cosine of
zero which is 1
yes ठीक है मिलाई अच्छा now try this
तीन तो इसमें कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता था मतलब कुछ भी हो सकता था
हो सकता है लेकिन जीरो के अलावा ना बाकी पर सिंपल जीरो आ जाता है
लेकिन इसमें वो तो आ रहा है ले लेगा इसको ऐसे तीन कुछ भी हो सकता है
capital T. Let's go by this formulation. You understand this formulation, right? It is saying that if you multiply f t with delta t minus t, you will get f big T under t. Right? So by that alone, what are we doing? We are multiplying f t by delta t minus 0. ऐसे ही करें ना? यानी another way to look at it. Zero है ना यहाँ कुछ भी नहीं है ना if you have delta t minus t as the general form and I say that it is now my case is delta t that is capital T zero. Another way to see it is to say okay cosine 2t is some function right let's say I don't know what its value is at t0 but I say it is cosine some function right? What is delta t? Where does it occur? 0. Where does delta t minus t occur? At t equals t. Right? यहाँ पे एक delta है at t equal to 0 इस case में. Right? That delta is going to multiply with whatever value this guy is going to provide. Right? बाकी जगहों पे this delta is 0, so every other value of this function becomes irrelevant. Yes? So that is why you will only put the value of this function at t equal to 0. अगर ये shifted होता to here to some t, then you will be picking whatever value cosine to cosine to capital T, right? वो फिर general हो जाता, right? अच्छा, अब ये बताएं to this one. Delta 2t minus 4 dt.
बट फर्क क्या पड़ता है, आपका एरिया 1 है ना, 1 नहीं है
नहीं
तो
आएगा।
हाँ 1 होता है, डेल्टा कुछ भी होगा 1 होता है।
सही बात है, खाली डेल्टा है ना।
नहीं कुछ और है तो नहीं क्या, खाली डेल्टा। सही बात है, डेल्टा किसी पॉइंट पे तो 1 है।
मैं और रोहन के साथ हूँ।
बस जो लेके
डेल्टा कोई हो एक जगह
बेसिकली तो साथ में बैठा, लेकिन नहीं है, वन नहीं है इसका आंसर।
मैंने साथ में
ग्रीक हो गए।
कुर्सी उठा के मार दो। चलिए जल्दी जल्दी, क्या आंसर है? वन। अगला प्रॉब्लम देखो देने के लिए, क्या है? वन। हमने किया था बाय द वे, राइट? इससे मिलता जुलता है।
हाँ
याद आया क्या किया था?
सब मेरा ही होती है
सब्स्टिट्यूशन। अरे हाँ, सब्स्टिट्यूशन क्या है ना, इसको call this down, all we know is this, हमें तो सिर्फ ये प्रॉपर्टी पता है ना, delta t dt equals 1 and delta t is equals 0 for t not equals 0. सिर्फ ये दो प्रॉपर्टीज पता है बस, right? So you don't know what this guy, we want to try to bring it into this shape, yeah, इस shape में by substitution, right? फिर आप देखिए क्या जवाब आता है।
ये 2 अराउंड क्या हो
हुआ?
हो रहा है सर।
हो रहा है ना? Half answer. So you replace this by tau and then you see dt is d tau is 2 dt. 4 derivative 0 jagah. So when you these are not affected, right? So if you then solve that, it leads to the whole thing leads to 1, but because of d 2t equals to d tau, you have a half there, so 1. Okay. And so ये last one है, इसके बाद you can go. So let's say you have a function that looks like this. This is 8, this is minus 2, and this point is 4. Okay? ये function है, it goes on, yeah? And it is 0, 0 before this. Write this function as a sum of 2 unit steps, or 2-step function. Write this function as a sum of 2-step functions. Step function याद है? ये function है, and you have to write it as a sum of 2-step functions. Equation लिखे ना, write the equation for this, and let's say this is xt, right? So you have to write xt equal to a term plus another term. This should be a step function, this should also be a step function. I'm not saying what the amplitude of the step function is, right? Scaling आप change करते हैं, and you can also shift the step function. It has to be a step function. UT की कोई फॉर्म होनी चाहिए, इधर भी UT की. UT minus something times 1/4 whatever you want or need. So मैंने चेक करते हैं आपकी लॉजिक. I can give you a hint also. Try graphically first.
हो गया है
ठीक होने की गारंटी.
कैसे देख लो
स्टेप वाइज बता रहा हूँ.
The minus 2 u of t plus a u of t plus
स्टेप वाइज
ये आपके दिन में आ रहा है ना, उसको बना के देखो जैसे टेस्ट करें.
अच्छा बाहर मल्टीप्लाई
क्या है आंसर?
10 u bracket t minus 4 t minus 2 u t right.
बाहर ऐड करने से
वर्टिकली ऊपर चला जाएगा.
बाहर ऐड करेंगे
वर्टिकली ऊपर चला जाएगा.
बाहर मल्टीप्लाई करने से स्केल हो जाता है. मल्टीप्लाई डिवाइड से वो प्रेस का वो और
अंदर करोगे तो यू आ जाएगा. यूनिटी में कुछ भी नहीं होगा लेकिन एसेंशियली
है या इसको हम पढ़ाया समझिए. One of you got it. ठीक है, so minus 2 ut 8 ut plus 4 इस तरह से सोचें. ठीक है, इसको देखना. Let's say at 4 क्या वैल्यू है? तो t equals 0 क्या वैल्यू है?
यार वही ना कंडक्टर लेना है इसको तो माइनस
I think it's like algorithm तो मेरे दिमाग में आ गया.
सर मैं कहता हूँ लेफ्ट हैंड
Yes. To be continued. Climax बड़ा heavy हो गया.
बहुत बेहतरीन प्लॉट ट्विस्ट आ रहा है.
You can see from here
Trilogy.
something is going to happen at 4. Right? वो तो आपको नजर आ रहा है. And you have to play around a bit with this to actually find out. So I'll just write the solution and then you can think about it. If I write it like this, I'll draw करूँ. Something happens at 4, that I know. Before that it is minus 2. So the easiest thing for me is to take a unit step of minus 2. So this would be minus 2 ut. Why is that? अगर आप ut को minus 2 से multiply करें तो क्या जाएगा और minus 2 जाएगा. Now something has to happen at 4 to turn it into 8. Right? So before that nothing should happen. So okay, something 0 and something happens here that turns it into 8. That is another unit step. कितना होना चाहिए? होना इसने 4 पे. Yes? So I know it has to be something ut minus or plus.
Plus.
माइनस.
सारे उल्टे जा रहे हैं, इनसे पूछ लिया करें. एग्जाम की लॉ. minus 4. Okay. So मुझे पता है एग्जाम में क्या इशारे हो रहे होंगे.
Plus.
So ये समझ आ गई. अब ये बता दें कि ये कितना होगा. 10 होगा. क्योंकि this is going to cancel 2. So you need to reach 8. जो आप 8 लिखा हुआ था ना वो 6 आ जाएगा. ठीक है, चल, गुड, सी यू नेक्स्ट टाइम.
Thank you, sir.